Hola y'all, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Shelly Flowers, aka Michelle Flores, and today I am starting the thing that I have been most excited about for the longest time, and that is, of course, Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. So I know it's May and I know I should be working on Asian readathon books, but I am obsessed with this author and I got this book a couple days ago and I've just been holding it off because I was trying to finish another book that I was reading. So now I have time to read this and I'm so ready. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. I'm sitting outside, it's nice, the sun's going down, it's actually like a normal livable temperature in Florida. I got all my little plants next to me, so let's do this. Okay, so this is one of the dedications in the book, and it says, El corazón de la auyama solo conoce el cuchillo. This is a Dominican proverb, and it basically translates to the heart of a squash only knows a knife. So that is really interesting. I've never heard this proverb before, and I'm excited to see how it relates to what we'll see in the book. Here we go. Hello guys, so it is now, what day is it? Wednesday? Anybody else feeling like all the days are blurring together? It's outside, it's like 6:30 and it's super bright out, which is nice, so I'm gonna try and get some reading done. So far this book is just so heartbreaking is the best way to phrase it. You know, I'm like I'm a third of the way into the book, and yeah, I'm a third of the way into the book, and there's just a lot of stuff that has happened to the characters. So it's really interesting to write a book in the format of the story that Elizabeth Acevedo has done. I'm also looking at this book through a writer's lens because I plan on writing a novel in verse this summer. So reading this book has really helped me spark some ideas on how I can do that. And also, it's just a really good story. There's so many poems in here that really break my heart in terms of understanding identity when you're the child of immigrants and you identify so heavily with a country and a culture that you've never actually visited. I had that experience for most of my life because I'm Cuban American, and never getting to actually go visit Cuba was kind of like this cloud over my head. And I finally got to visit Cuba a few years ago, and I really want to go back once my kids are a little bit older and we can stay there for longer. You know, this book is just bringing up a lot of ideas in terms of identity and travel and, you know, politics and grief and losing a parent when you're really young. So it's good, but it's heavy stuff, y'all. So just be prepared for that. Okay, so here we have some of the structural things that I'm talking about in the book, especially when writing a novel in verse. This is the kind of thing I want to keep in mind on making sure that I'm using form in a way that helps enhance a story. So here we have this poem. It doesn't have a title. Most of the poems are just titled based off of whoever the character is speaking at the moment. So here we have the airline representatives say, don't say. So normally when you read the poem, you would read the line straight through, but the way that she has set it up is like, say grievance, don't say blank. So it's sort of like, this is what the airline is saying, and this is what our character Yahaira would like them to say. And I think this is such a very interesting back and forth. It's almost like having that conversation without actually having the characters dialogue with each other. So I think that's really interesting. When you contrast that, she does a lot of poems like this that tend to be long and thinner, and they are in these couplets, these 2-line stanzas like this. And they're a little bit more straightforward in their narrative. So I like this. I like how she's playing with form and how she's using it to enhance the overall structure and meaning in the book. Okay, I just finished reading the book and I cried at the end. I was not expecting it. I definitely felt like for the majority of the book it was going to be a 4-star read because I felt like the language was beautiful and it's definitely a character study. And so if you're someone who's driven by plot, then it's a little bit of a slow burn, but the ending of it was just so beautiful, and all of these ideas of, you know, families who experience trauma and then find out really uncomfortable secrets about their own family history and how they react to it and manage it and then still decide to come together as a whole unit. It's such a complicated process, and Elizabeth Acevedo does it so well and so beautifully in this book. I just have so many tabs in here of the things that I loved. There were so many lines that she wrote that really just struck a chord with me, and then even just the forms of poems that she was using. And thinking about the age group that this is written for, you know, 14 to 17-year-olds, knowing that they're gonna read this book and be exposed to much more complex poetic structures in a way that feels real and authentic to their, you know, adolescence. She's a master at what she does, and she is definitely someone that I am looking to in terms of how to structure a novel in verse, how to characterize your characters through verse. And even though the plot was a little bit slow, I think it really did pay off in the end. I will also say, I usually only spend about 30 minutes reading a day. Some days I can read more. Like today I read for an hour. And I think because of that, the pacing did feel a lot quicker. So if you're someone who wants to read this book, I would suggest trying to read it as quickly as possible, which is odd. Maybe that's the wrong phrasing. Not as quickly as possible, but definitely give yourself longer chunks of time to read over the book. It doesn't take very long. I think in total I spent about 3 hours reading it, but it's just so beautiful and so well done. And what I love about Elizabeth Acevedo's work is the fact that she ends so many of her books on such a hopeful note. And I feel like so often in literature, Black girls, Black women, Black femmes, they're not given the chance to have hope, to survive, and not just survive, but to thrive and to make their own choices. And as someone who's parenting a Black Latina, like, to have someone like Elizabeth Acevedo writing books specifically for her, it brings me so much joy, because now I know I'm gonna have a library full of books where my daughter can see herself, and not just see herself, but also see herself thrive. And the possibilities are endless, right? She can be a chess champion like Yahaira. She can be a doctor like Camino. She can be a chef like Imani. She can be a poet like Xiomara. Like, her possibilities are endless, and I think this is exactly what good literature does for kids. It inspires, it exposes, and it really just guides children into understanding who they are. So before I start crying again, definitely 5 stars. If you've never read anything by Elizabeth Acevedo, pick up one of her books. The Poet X is the most popular. I personally really love With the Fire on High, but this book is also really excellent, and I think you get something different out of each of those books, but that's what makes her writing so special. So that's pretty much it. I loved this book. If you'd like to follow me on a more day-to-day basis, you can find me on Instagram, Tumblr, and Goodreads at Shelly Flowers. If you'd like to purchase my own book, Winthos from the Swamp, the link is down below. And I would love to hear what other novels in verse you guys have read before. I'm new to this genre. I've only read like 3 or 4 books in the genre, but it's definitely a genre that I am starting to really love, and I want to attempt writing my own version of it. So any recommendations you have would be super welcome. Okay, ciao y'all.